Good evening and welcome to the weekly Lawrence City Commission meeting. We want to thank everybody for coming this evening, and we look forward to your questions and comments throughout the meeting. The first item on the agenda are recognitions and proclamations, and the first is to proclaim September 8th, 2015 as International Literacy Day. And I know we have representatives here this evening, so if you'd like to come to the podium and tell us a little bit about this, and I'll read the proclamation.
My name is Betty Parks, and this is Olivia Williams. We are members of Altruist International of Lawrence County. We are a service committee group that does a lot of community projects. One of our main focus is literacy, and today is International Literacy Day. It's always on September 8th. So we have come to proclaim this in Lawrence and hope that people will be encouraged to read to their friends and family. If you have children or grandchildren, make sure you take the time to read to them. Most of what we do is in the proclamation. We were fortunate enough to go present one of our board books to a new mother and baby before we came here today. We try to do that every year. We do provide a baby book to each newborn at Lawrence Memorial. Have done that for about 12 years.
Well, that's great. I know just reading that it really got my attention. I think that is just really a great thing to do. And then as I practiced this several times over the weekend, because it's got to be like the hardest thing ever to be able to read this. I just feel it coming. But anyway, I would be happy to read the proclamation. Whereas there are over 775 million people worldwide who lack the literacy skills needed to obtain good jobs or to actively participate in the education of their children. And it is estimated that more than 67 million primary school-age children do not attend school, and many more attend irregularly or are dropouts, and over 8% of the population in the state of Kansas over the age of 16 lack the ability to read or write. And whereas Altrusa International Incorporated, an organization of executive and professional women committed to community service, has pledged to work toward worldwide literacy. And whereas the community of Lawrence has residents of all ages in every neighborhood who are functionally illiterate. And whereas Altrusa International Incorporated of Lawrence has implemented the ongoing Born to Read project at Lawrence Memorial Hospital, providing a book to each newborn, provides 4 annual scholarships for women, supports New York Elementary School with volunteer reading companions, and has implemented a partnership book club, provides educational software for youth and adults for its international project in Kenya, provides newspaper subscriptions to health care access, has developed a caregiver lending library at Douglas County Senior Services, supports the Lawrence Public Library, and encourages reading and the promotion of lifelong literacy for the residents of Lawrence. Now, therefore, I, Mike Amix, Mayor of the City of Lawrence, Kansas, do hereby proclaim September 8th, 2015 as International Literacy Day and urge all citizens of this community to continue working together in addressing literacy needs in Lawrence and Douglas County. Thank you all very much for providing such a great opportunity for so many people, in our community and our county. Thank you both.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you in the neighborhood. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and all matters listed on the consent agenda are to be considered under one motion and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on those items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Are there any items on the consent agenda that a member of the commission would like to have removed to discuss separately? Okay. Any items on the consent agenda that a member of the public would like to have removed to be considered separately? Okay, seeing none. We need to add claims to 237 vendors in the amount of $1,186,960. With the addition of claims, I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion made and second to approve the consent agenda made by Vice Mayor Soden, second by Commissioner Herbert. All in favor of that motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed. That passes 4-0. Thank you very much on that. City Manager's report. Diane.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Eileen Warren, who is the City and County Sustainability Coordinator, as you know, is working on pursuing a Stark Communities rating system. For us, this is looking at various sustainability measures for the community and is kind of a new rating system that'll be looking at comparing different communities to one another in these areas. Have water conservation, energy efficiency, affordable housing, arts and culture, and economic development. She was able to secure a grant in order to participate in the program, and we have perhaps the opportunity to be the first city in Kansas to pursue this. So there will be more updates later. The OREA design guidelines, as a follow-up to some of the comments that you received at your meeting last week. There's a memo provided by Scott and his staff on the OREA design guidelines process and kind of where it's come to this point, and a timeline to proceed through various future steps. So you see kind of a timeline laid out going through the Planning Commission, Historic Resources Commission, and their review, public review, neighborhood review, and then other final reviews then back before those bodies and back in front of the City Commission in the spring. So that's kind of the timeline at this point for that project. Yes.
It says on here that they were appointed, if I'm reading right, in January 2013. Do we have to do a new round of appointments? And do we do that, or does each commission do it on their own?
See if Scott can help with that.
Each commission have been doing that on their own, appointing.
Have anything to do with it?
No, and it's just a subcommittee to help steer the project through the Planning Commission and Historic Resource Commission. The full bodies of the Planning Commission and Historic Resource Commission will be making recommendations to the City Commission on it. It's really a rezoning effort. So we treat it like a rezoning effort.
So there's a joint meeting that they have. I assume that's open to the public.
Yes, it'll be a formal joint meeting. They've already had one of them in the past to talk about this issue. There'll be another one. We'll treat that as the hearing, take public testimony. That'll all go into the record, which will be available for the City Commission to digest at the time.
Okay.
And finally, the summer construction project status. Given your relatively light agenda, I asked Chuck Souls to provide kind of a brief overview of these projects for you this evening. A picture is really worth 1,000 words, and there were a lot of great pictures of the various projects that have been undertaken this summer. And so, Chuck, you want to provide a quick summary?
Well, I think we got most of our main projects done before school started, so that kind of went first. Usually we have some problems with that, but we had several projects over on Bob Billings Parkway, George Williams Way. We did the geometric improvements in the traffic signal there. That's tying into the interchange project. It's got turn lanes in all directions, so that'll help facilitate those turning movements as well. If you remember Bob Billings from Foxfire to Wakarusa, it was kind of like a roller coaster at times. The the subgrade had settled, and there were some pretty big dips and bumps. We reconstructed that. We put in new subgrade, under drains, rebuilt the sidewalks, of course, bike lanes, and we took out a lot of the median there to provide a center turn lane, which facilitates getting in and out of some of those properties. And then we had the center turn lane at Corpus Christi Church. That was basically a benefit district that the church will be paying for. Our Clink project this year was on Iowa Street. We basically filled in some gaps that we had between after we did 15th in Iowa. We did 23rd to Irving Hill. We milled and overlaid that, and we did Harvard to 6th. Our 2015 overlay patch and microsurfacing program, some of that work's still ongoing, but it covers approximately 12 and a half lane miles of roads, including 2 miles of streets with sharrows, and we added an additional mile of streets that's on North Iowa with bike lanes. Those are just some pictures of some of the work that's been going on. 31st Street. 31st Street is open all the way from O'Connell all the way to Iowa. That project, Haskell to O'Connell, that was our part of the project. KDOT did the part from Louisiana to Haskell and from Osdale to Louisiana. We also partnered with Menards to get some section of that rebuilt as well. That project alone, or those three projects combined from O'Connell all the way back to Osdale, adds about 2.5 miles of multi-use path to our system. All new. Of course, Louisiana Street, we got had a lot of input this summer on Louisiana Street and 27th Street. We got the intersection at 31st and Louisiana and 31st open up. We went out with our street maintenance crews. We had some contractors out there, and we've gotten Louisiana Street from 23rd to 31st in good shape. We also completed the sidewalk from Naismith Valley Park to Bellhaven on 27th Street. And we got the raised crosswalk there at Naismith Valley Park. Some emails still about the intersection at 27th and Louisiana as to whether or not the stop signs will remain. Right now, they're there. We plan to leave them there. We are taking traffic counts, and we'll bring back a report to the commission and let you guys decide whether you want to keep them there or not. It was put there as an interim measure so that people could get in and out of that neighborhood. But now that everything's opened back up, we're going to take a look and see if they're still warranted. And then just some other miscellaneous projects. We continue to do stormwater sewer improvements. There's a couple of projects there that we just highlighted, 10th Street and Fambro and Mississippi storm sewer. Sidewalks, our street division continues to put in accessible ramps. They continue to put in bits and pieces of sidewalk and do maintenance on like the Peterson Road project as well. And these are just some of our projects that we're working on. Tonight you're going to talk about 6 and Champion signalization. We're working on 19th Street between Harper and O'Connell. There's still some more to come on Bob Billings. We're working with the neighborhoods all along that corridor from basically K10 all the way to, I guess it's Castle, about their concerns for the additional traffic with the opening of the bypass. We're working on Castle, next year's Clink project, Queens Road. We hope to bring that back to you with some suggestions on a benefit district. Of course, East 9th Street project, Santa Fe Depot, Maple Street Pump Station. We do have bids on those. We will bringing those to you next week. 11th and Mississippi, that's with the HERE project. That'll be next year. And then, of course, our regular maintenance programs and our GAP programs. That's it. Questions?
27th Street and Louisiana Street, are we doing traffic counts now?
Yes.
We are. And so we'll have that in next several weeks time frame?
Yeah, David Woosley, our traffic engineer, extended the stop signs for 90 days, so
Okay.
we intend to have something back to you before that.
Okay.
How many stop signs are there now on 27th Street between Iowa and Louisiana?
There's one at
There's one at the park.
Alabama. There's
One at Alabama.
There's one at the bridge. Ridge Court.
Is there
Yeah.
3?
There's one. We still have the one at the raised crosswalk.
Yeah.
That one. We have the one at 27th Louisiana.
Yeah.
So are they all going to stay? Or is it-
We'll bring that back we don't know that the one at Naismith Valley Park is necessary. We've got the raised crosswalk, and we're going to be putting in the hybrid beacon. We don't have it yet. When that gets installed, then people could go ahead and press that button, but whether that's needed or not. So we'll have a report on that. We'll bring that back.
What about Ridge?
That'll be part of that.
That'll be part of that
That'll be
report.
part of that, okay.
Because we had the two installed, one at where the beacon's going to be in the raised crosswalk and the one at Ridge Court.
Yep.
So I think that those will be the two that we'll be talking about, and maybe the one up on Louisiana,
And the one on Louisiana.
on
Yep.
whether or not, the warrants are still there to keep.
And we'll
those
have to let the
in place.
neighborhood know at that time too, so,
Is 27th Street still on the traffic calming list?
yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? So we look forward to getting those reports back.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions of Diane on any of the city manager's report? Okay. Thank you, Chuck. So we are off to public comment, and public comment is allowed on any items that you wish to bring before the commission, and as long as we're not talking about items that are on the agenda for this evening, we'll ask anybody to come forward once you're recognized by the mayor. And generally, the commission will not discuss or debate these items, nor will the commission make decisions on any items presented tonight. Rather, that will refer them to the staff. So individuals are allowed to come to the microphone, sign in, and state their name, and speakers should address the commission for comments. So at that time, I will open it up for public comment. Does any member of the public wish to make a comment of any general nature? Anyone this evening? Yes, sir.
Is this the time to talk about the assessment?
No. You're talking about for Champion Way? Or Champion?
No, Battle Farm.
No, that'll be the next item, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, though. Melinda?
Hi, good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, staff. I'm Melinda Henderson. I live in Brook Creek neighborhood, and I'm here tonight for a couple of different items that I want to run by you. I've been kind of waiting till you had a short agenda. So this was my first opportunity. So first item, I want to thank staff for hearing my plea for improved bus service in my neighborhood. I heard Diane comment a few weeks ago when I was listening to the meeting that they were working on improving service to Brook Creek, so I fired off an email to her and said, really? And we had our monthly neighborhood meeting last week, and so I checked back, and she had Bob Nugent respond with a proposed route, and it's still in the early stages, but I mapped it out, and I took it to the Brook Creek neighborhood meeting, and everyone there was really thrilled with the way that it looks. And so just keep us informed, and we'll probably want to have Bob come to one of our meetings. And I also mentioned it at the land meeting on Thursday, and East Lawrence, because the route does hit an area in East Lawrence. It hasn't been served before. So East Lawrence we might want to do some kind of a joint meeting with East Lawrence to get community feedback. But there are about 15 people at our Brook Creek meeting, and they all promised they would be very supportive and everything. So thank you so much for hearing my plea. I can't wait to ride the bus to downtown without traveling through Prairie Park. Not that anything's wrong with Prairie Park, but it does add about 20 minutes onto the trip. So thank you very much for that. The second item, I wanted to wait until you all finish with the budget hearing. And then practically after that, we had losing Jeremy as commissioner. So this is about the fireworks ban enforcement. This was the second year that I did a ride-along on the evening of the 4th of July, and I had done one last year too. So I want to thank staff. I don't know if you were involved in making that happen. I know Jeremy was, and Sergeant McKinley. I was paired with Officer Hicks, who just is an absolute dream as far as an officer explaining what goes on during a ride-along. He was just great. So I really enjoyed that. I was disappointed that we only had 3 patrol cars assigned specifically for fireworks calls that night. The year before, I think we had at least 4, and it was broken up into quadrants. And this year was a little different. I did hear a lot of calls about fireworks on the west side of town this year. And I know we had some other issues with fireworks on the west side of town this year. There was no way that 3 cars could respond to all the calls. And I think fewer citations were issued too. So what I would like to do, I talked to Jeremy about it after the ride-along because I was curious why we didn't have more officers like we had the year before. And his theory was that most of them were assigned to the fireworks celebration at the park, which makes sense. And when I voiced my concern about that, I think he felt like, that's, what the citizens expect for public safety for an event like that. So I don't want to, quote him directly, but I really do want to see what we can do between now and next 4th of July to improve the enforcement. I know there are a lot of other people in the community who were not at the fireworks celebration who were really upset this year. Now, I do have to say, it was a little quieter in Brook this year, so I appreciated that. But I really think, I think we need to visit this issue and have a serious discussion on it. Maybe a study, I don't know. But I'm happy to work with staff and the chief to see what we can come up with. So I want to wait until we have a full commission again. So right now, I just kind of want to give you guys a heads up that, thank you for letting me do the ride-along again. And as soon as possible, after we have a full commission, could we make it an agenda item to at least get started on this and figure out what we need to do?
Well, Linda, why don't we do this to Diane? Why don't you visit with Tarek about, because I don't have any idea about the number of cars and maybe the rest of the commission.
Right.
What all that we had available, and at least get some idea on information that we could use. So if you just work with Tarek and find out all that information, and then we can be at least ahead in the process that way. And then after we get a full commission, I promise we'll get this back out there, okay?
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And that was kind of what I was thinking, was at least start gathering the data, and I'll contact you and give you some ideas of some of the numbers I'm looking for and that kind of thing, and you can pass it on, and then we'll be ready to go and figure out. So I really appreciate that too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Other public comment? Anyone else? Okay. Let's move ahead to the regular agenda. Again, the public is allowed to speak on any of the regular agenda items or give public comment after first being recognized by the mayor. Individuals are asked to come to the microphone, sign in, and state their name and address. And speakers, again, should address all comments and questions to the commission. First item on the agenda is to conduct a public hearing considering adopting on first reading ordinance number 9159, levying the maximum assessments for the construction public improvements, including signalization of the intersection at 6th and Champion Lane, and consider authorizing staff to submit a request for qualifications for design work of 6th and Champion Street traffic signalization. This is project number PW1507.
So, Mayor, you pretty much said everything that I was going to say.
Is that your item?
But I will go ahead and reiterate. This is basically to signalize the intersection of 6th and Champion. The estimated project cost will be about $400,000. We've got $250,000 coming back from our turnback agreement with KDOT. So the benefit district is only picking up $150,000. As the commission directed, this is being split up in the benefit district based on square footage. Everybody pays the same based on the size of their lot. The project will probably, after we get the engineering on board, it's probably a spring project. The traffic signal arms alone probably take 3 to 4 months, so you probably next summer by the time this is all done. It will include crosswalks in all 4 directions across all ways, and it'll be activated for pedestrians to press the signal and get across the street. It's a 10-year assessment. Like I said, it's $150,000. There's zero cost in it from the city other than our share of the KDOT turnback funds. And as you mentioned tonight, your action would be to open a public hearing. This is the final process. Dollars won't be assessed until after the project's done and all the accounting's been done. So if the project comes in less, that's all we assess. Again, it's based on the square footage. So your action tonight would be to open the public hearing pending discussion and comments that you receive, approve the ordinance, assessing the maximum assessment, and then we would request that you also go ahead and approve allowing us to go ahead and request proposals from engineering firms to start the design. I can answer questions.
Questions of staff? Nothing? Okay, thanks, Chuck. Entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion made and second to open the public hearing, made by Commissioner Herbert, second by Vice Mayor Soden. All in favor of that motion, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Public hearing is open. With that, I would accept public comment on this item. Just
My name is Jeffrey Knatt, manager at Meadowlark Estates, at parcel number 14.
right.
And we just kind of wondered, you said it's an assessment over 10 years. Does that mean you take that amount that you have assessed and spread it out over 10 years? Or do you assess that amount every 10 years? Or every year for 10 years?
I mean, I can answer these questions, but do you want to get them all first and then answer them?
Did you have another question?
No, I think that's the last question.
Okay. Let's answer that now.
That's an easy answer. The cost that you received in your notice
Right.
is the total, and it will
Okay.
be split over 10 years.
Okay,
So you'll get 1/10 of that plus whatever interest you're going to pay.
okay, okay. Well, the only thing that the company that I work for has asked me to kind of mention is that it would have an overall negative impact on the 135 senior residents that we have living with us. Their income levels, in some cases, are at their maximum. And so it's not a situation that we feel that they could really absorb. So I wanted to share that with you and maybe take that into consideration when you make your decision.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And, sir, just real quick, if you want to have a seat there a second, I was going to ask a question of staff that you might be interested. Correct me if I'm wrong, was part of the consideration for approval of all the Bauer Farm site was this light being put there?
Yes. Yeah, with the development of the whole area, the former property owner agreed
Right.
not to protest benefit district for the installation of the signal at this location. Right now, track 14 seems kind of secluded, but Bauer Farm Drive will connect, and then they will have access directly to that signal, and thus benefiting.
Okay. And sir, I just wanted you to be aware of that that was part of the negotiation, I guess you might call it, of approval of this entire piece of property, and that's how this came about.
Okay.
So just so that you're aware.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks for coming. Other comment?
Commissioners, my name is Bill Fleming. I'm work with Trainer Architects, and I'm also been principal in the development of our farm. So I don't have any issues with how the assessment's done. I think it's kind of, as you spoke, Mayor, it's something that we executed agreements not to protest the formation of the Special Assessment District back when we did the project. Everybody that purchased lots out there was given that. It was, it was in the title report. It was filed a public record, so everybody was given notice of that. So I think the method and how we've done this is fine. My only question, I guess I'd just like to confirm that the first $250 will be paid out from the KDOT proceeds, and then it's only the excess over $250 that would be used to make the special assessment. Is that correct understanding?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
And I'm available to answer any questions if anybody has questions about that.
Okay. Other public comment on this item? Any other public comment? Okay. I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion made and second to close the public hearing, made by Commissioner Herbert, second by Vice Mayor Soden. All in favor of that motion, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, the public hearing is closed. Okay, any questions or comments on this? Again, I think it's pretty straightforward. It was something, again, that was,
Can I actually ask? Jeff, are you still here?
yeah, the gentleman that was,
Oh, well, never mind.
okay. Well, again, like I said, I think it's pretty straightforward, something that, has been being put together for quite a while now. Appreciate this work that staff's done after bringing forward earlier recommendation and taking it back and redoing after it was decided that it should be a flat assessment through all properties. So I appreciate you doing that. So anyway, if there is no other questions or comments, I would entertain a motion to adopt on first reading ordinance number 9159, levying the maximum assessment for the construction of the public improvements, including the signalization of the intersection of 6th Street and Champion Lane, and also consider authorizing the staff to submit an RFQ for design work of 6th and Champion Street traffic signal project or improvements.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
A motion made and second for the adoption of the ordinance on first reading and to authorize staff to submit the RFQ for the design work. Made by Commissioner Herbert, second by Commissioner Boley. Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? That item passes 4-0. Thank you all very much. Future agenda items.
Yes, next week we will have, as Chuck mentioned earlier, the Maple Street pump station for your review. Those bids have come in. We'll also have the reorganization of the Convention and Visitors Bureau and those documents that are needed to be considered. And then a request for some support for Explore Lawrence sporting related events. And we may have the Eldridge project, the traffic control plan, depending on information that we get from the applicant here this week. And but in any case, this will be an item that'll be coming forward to you sometime soon, along with first reading of the ordinance for their industrial revenue bonds. Basically, they already had the resolution of intent approved, which gives them the sales tax exemption. The ordinance is more of a formality to finalize that. Then you have a meeting in there that's not listed, but it's the September the 22nd, and that we'll have 3 commissioners here for that meeting, so it'll be a fairly light agenda. Just wanted to draw your attention, of course, to the 2 meetings, the September 29th meeting that's been reinstated, and the special meeting that's been slated for October the 1st in order to discuss the commission vacancy, and then looking forward to the selection of that person and their swearing in on October the 6th. We have a variety of other items that are listed kind of on the to be determined list, a number of items that'll be pending your consideration here in the coming weeks and months.
Diana and I have spent time, along with the Vice Mayor a week ago, I think it was, talking about a number of these things and when appropriate to place these items on the agenda. And we know some of the items, decisions really need to be made, fairly quickly, but some of them are going to require a commission of 5 to be able to take care of these. And so we'll just continue to go along and be able to do the items that, I think that there can be a majority answer one way or another on, and get them out there. If we have to put an item on the agenda just to be able to meet the timing, it's going to have to go. So I just want you to all kind of be aware of that. So,
Mayor, one other thing that I might just mention, you and I discussed today a little bit about the various agreements that we'll be having.
yeah, I was going to bring that up a little bit, but go ahead.
Is that
Go
okay?
ahead. Yeah.
Various agreements with social service agencies, and kind of in light of recent events, thinking of looking at those agreements with kind of fresh eyes and what should be provided in those agreements between the city and the social service agencies to ensure accountability of the taxpayer dollars. So one of the things that we would like to do is bring forward to you all some recommendations in conjunction with your consideration of those agreements for the 2016 budget year. So this would be the time of the year that we'd be working on those.
And Diane, as you bring up, the social service agency, should it be any agency that we fund? And I know that that's where you were going, because it's the same kind of agreement, right?
Yes, exactly.
So anybody that would be on our list of agencies that we fund would have to do that. So I think it's just a good idea to, relook those items. So anyway, okay.
I did have a question, I'll go ahead and ask it.
Please.
Here. So if there, for the city commission nomination committee, whatever their official name is, if there's not more than 12, was there a meeting in there that the committee can skip if they don't have to take it down to 12? Was there an extra meeting or?
They were taking it down to 6, weren't they?
Yeah, I remember something about 12 though, so I wanted to ask about that.
Well, there was a meeting to take it to 12, but anyway.
That's why I'm asking Tony.
Yeah. Tony, please.
Yes, the resolution that was approved in August did have a couple of meetings for the advisory committee to work. The next meeting was September 17th, and the plan for that meeting was to narrow the pool to up to 12 semifinalists that would be invited back to a public forum on September 24th. So one thought was we could see how many people submit applications tomorrow. The deadline is tomorrow at 5. We could bring a report back to the commission, and you could consider next week if you wanted to alter that structure. We did have a discussion on September 3rd when the advisory committee met for the first time that might be a possibility, that we would have fewer applications than was contemplated in the resolution, and that the commission may be interested in altering the process slightly. And they were all understanding of that and aware that might be a possibility.
Well, but, and Vice Mayor, I appreciate you bringing that up, but one of the things that I do want to say is let's wait until we see exactly how many we have
Oh,
tomorrow.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think that there's enough work here to be done that just going through, the process, that'll give us the opportunity to have a, discussion about the way that, we wish to move forward. But I think let's keep everything intact the way it is now, pending how many applications that we get in
Yeah.
the next 24 hours. So,
Yeah, definitely.
okay.
I'm just curious. I'm new to how
Told
these
Diane
things
she's
go.
going to have a long line tomorrow. Everyone's going to show up
That's
at
right.
4:15.
That's right.
About 24 hours anymore, Mike.
It's not 24 hours, that's right. The hours just keep running together. Okay.
There's going to be a parking crisis downtown with all the people wanting to turn it in.
Well, I tell you, as not to jump ahead as a commission item, but I guess this would be the time to do it. I really hope that is the case. I think we have an opportunity here to make a decision on behalf of this community. In the appointment that we're about to make is so important for the next 27 months or whatever it is. That's a long time, and it is very important that we get good quality people to step forward. I know there's people out there that really want to do this. I know they really want to do it, because every time I've run, there's been about 20 of them, that have showed up, and it's always been fun. But no, I hope people do take the opportunity very seriously. Being part of this commission is, I still say, and I've heard other commissioners say it in the past, this is the best job in Kansas as far as being an elected official in Lawrence, Kansas. We get the opportunity to do so many things because of the great community that we live in. Mm-hmm. And I think that, we need to recognize that. And so, again, there's people that are thinking about it. You got time. Yeah. Come fill out the paperwork, and might take you a little bit of time tomorrow, but, it'll be good. So if you're thinking about it, get it in here, okay?
Every minute's worth it, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I tried to recruit the chancellor.
It is a privilege.
Yeah, that is true.
It is true.
I mean, it truly is. That it is. Okay, other commission items, since we jumped onto commission items.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, but it was here, so
Okay.
it's perfect.
Want a special thank you to Peter from the Journal World and the weeks that he has had to endure as a writer for the Journal World, and thank him for the hard work and writing about decisions that we made. So Peter, thank you. Going to miss you. Any idea who the new person's going to be?
I think they'll be in the next.
Oh yeah. Okay. Come on. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, a special thank you to you. Any other commission items?
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to the folks at the fire station. I think it's number 3 on 6th Street. They had an open house on Sunday, I think it was. And that was a real good opportunity to get to meet some people, to look at a quint, to look at the fire safety house, I think they call it, and meet some of the folks who work there. So I would like to encourage everybody to make it out to at least one of the fire stations as they do their open houses. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll learn, and you'll see what some of our great staff does.
And there's 4 other opportunities for people to be able to see, this great group, as Commissioner Boley just said, and really to be able to see, the sales tax initiative that was done several years ago, and how it's been able to help and bring, the quality of equipment that's necessary to, just to be able to save people's lives. I mean, this is some serious equipment, but folks need to go out and look and see the investment that they've made.
And take the kids.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
great.
It's fun. Okay, other commission items. I think you've all extended this as far as you can go. Okay, calendar.
God.
You have a couple hundred things you want to add tonight down?
Can you stall for 30 seconds? I've got a date to add. I got to find it real fast.
Well, I'm planning on going on to the NAACP meeting Thursday. I don't know if anyone else was. East Lawrence is having their meeting tonight at 7.
Okay.
Is there a meeting in New Jersey Street?
Oh, yeah.
Is that on our list?
24th?
The 24th?
I feel like it was the 24th.
I think it's the 17th, isn't it? I think it's for the 17th, but we can add that on there.
Yeah, can we get that on there?
Here we go. Got it.
17th at 2:30.
Yeah, we should have that.
It's Tuesday, September 15th The new Med Express building, which went into the previous Spangles building, is having an open house event. I didn't know if any of you were going, but I'm going to plan on being there, so there may have the potential to be more than 2 of us there.
I won't go then.
So we probably need to add it to the calendar.
Are they still
Well,
going to
it's-
pipe oldies music on the outside of the buildings?
I lived right next to that building. Don't depress me. It's very sad to see it go.
Well, since the ribbon cutting's on there, do we have to add another item?
Is it on there?
If it's on the ribbon cutting calendar, I think
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay.
Does that take care of the open meetings
it
obligation?
should be good.
Sweet.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
I just wanted to be safe.
Yeah.
I think I'm speaking a little bit of everywhere here before long. Okay, any other calendar items? Don't forget the 13th National Grandparents' Day. Anything else you want to talk about?
Nothing that I can think of. I can brainstorm if you wish.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second to adjourn. Boley and Herbert, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you all very much.